Hi, I'm Bob Trask. This is our weekly reset. Today we're going to talk about having an out-of-body experience. Having an out-of-body experience. And why would we care? Why would we want to have an out-of-body experience? Simply this: we are not our bodies. We're not our brains. We're not any part of our bodies. We're actually spiritual beings living in these human bodies and having a human experience for a while. And that's what we're doing. And we forget that. We become so involved with life, our bills and our appointments and the stuff that we have to do. We become so involved that we forget who we really are. We forget that we are actually spiritual beings and that this adventure that we're in right now, this adventure called life, this is something that we're privileged to do. We came out of pure consciousness. Pure consciousness is the electromagnetic, intelligent energy of all things in all places at all times. I said electromagnetic energy, but it's every other kind of energy as well. It's gravitational energy. It's all things. And that immensity of consciousness that is the creative force of all things, the intelligent creative force, and is also very kind. Kind. Watch a little bunny rabbit hopping along the edge of the forest. Look at the flowers growing. Look at the soft breeze moving across a field of wheat. There's a gentleness, there's a sweetness in it. And sometimes it becomes really raucous, like it has tornadoes and hurricanes and tidal waves and all of that kind of stuff goes on too. And that's all part of the great system of balances. And you and I are in balance. We have negative experiences and we have positive experiences. And those negative and positive experiences, if we accept them, which is a big step, they expand us. They expand us in wisdom. Now, that wisdom that it expands us in is not something that we hold in our body. We hold a lot of memories and a lot of other things through the cellular structure of our brains and the other parts of our body. But the deep wisdom that we came here to gather as spiritual beings, that's something entirely different. That goes into a great consciousness that we are a part of, and that is so great that it encompasses all the universes in all places at all times. So it's an out-of-body experience. It's simply experiencing being outside of your body, experiencing who you are as a spiritual being. It's exciting. It's really exciting. I've had quite a number of out-of-body experiences, and I think so have you. I just think you didn't know that that's what they were. I bet you have had. Sometimes we don't know what it is, so we just dismiss it maybe as daydreaming or whatever. An out-of-body experience doesn't only mean that you completely leave your body. That would be called a near-death experience. That happens when a person's vital organs like their lungs and their heart shut down. Those people are officially dead for a few minutes. George Rodinea was pronounced dead after being hit by a car in 1976, and he spent 3 days in the morgue. And he didn't return to his body until a pathologist started to make an incision as part of an autopsy. Before his near-death experience, George Rodinea worked as a neuropathologist and was a avowed atheist, didn't believe in anything other than I'm in my body. When my body dies, I'm done. But after that, he became devoted to the study of spirituality, and he took a second doctorate in the psychology of religion. But you don't have to die to have an out-of-body experience. People often go into that state, deep state, without even knowing they're there. When I was a kid, when I first learned to read, I became so enthralled with the stories. And I remember in the second grade, I was in San Jacinto, California. I was there was a book, Dick and Jane, or something that we were supposed to read, and I was reading Black Beauty, the book Black Beauty, and I brought it to class, and I was hiding it behind the book Dick and Jane, and the teacher came up to me, and she was standing next to me, and I didn't know she was there, and she spoke to me, and I didn't hear her voice, and she finally had to put her hand on my shoulder and shake me to wake me up. I was so deep into that story. I was no longer in my body. I was no longer Bob Trask. I was outside of myself. And incidentally, the teacher said, "So what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm reading Black Beauty." And so she took me to the back of the class and pulled a chair aside, a desk aside, and said, "Sit here." And she took the Dick and Jane book or whatever it was away, and she said, "Read your book." God bless her. Oh, God bless her. And I read and read, and I just became a voracious reader. But when people go into these out-of-body experiences, their bodies do seem to disappear. And they're floating in space, or they're lost in a story. It's an experience that changes everything about life. When we have a true out-of-body experience, we back away from our body. We back away from this reality that we think is real. And incidentally, it's real in the sense that we are in it, and it is of sin bias. But other than that, it's not real. It's all made up of everything in your room, everything that you see, hear, smell, touch, feel around you right now is all made up of waves, energy waves. There's nothing solid there. Nothing solid there. It's all energy waves. So it's not real. But we are real. We are real. We are consciousness. And we are real. And when we have an out-of-body experience, when we're able to stop just being bodies for a little while, then we become more objective about life. And we see things through a lens of understanding and acceptance. And that's one of the big problems of life, is that when we keep running into these little road bumps, and we're really irritated by them. Oh, why didn't this work? Oh God, why didn't this work? And you get a phone call, and somebody's supposed to meet you, and the traffic is heavy, and they couldn't meet you, but you had a limited amount of time, and it was an important meeting, and now you're frustrated, and this goes on all the time. But when you have an out-of-body experience, you just look back at that and say, "Oh, it's just part of a great dance. It's no big deal." For those of us who are impatient, we find the world around us beginning to make more sense. And it doesn't seem so out of balance. And we don't seem to need to hurry and fix it. We find our entire lives becoming more relaxed. Edgar Allan Poe said, "I knew myself no longer. My original soul seemed at once to take its flight from my body." And when I have fairly regular out-of-body experiences through deep meditation, and I've been meditating for a lot of years, so it's easy for me to get into that space. But it's a beautiful, beautiful feeling. Whew. Oh, it's a beautiful feeling. And I know people who are learning to meditate or trying to meditate, and they're having a hard time meditating. I pray to you, please hold on, please stay with it, because what happens is that when you get to a certain, I don't want to say skill level, because it isn't so much a skill level. It isn't something that you develop. It's something that you undevelop. You have to be able to move out of your analytical thinking, brainstorming mind that's just rattling around so constantly with thoughts and ideas and I should and I shouldn't. And it's all that intellectual stuff, and it's fine, but it's not who you are. It's not who you are. Who you are is a beautiful, beautiful, eternal spiritual being. And if you can get into that meditation, boy. And sometimes, incidentally, it happens in sleep. Sometimes, just as you're drifting off to sleep, you go into that place where you're not asleep and not awake, and you start floating outside of yourself. And sometimes it happens when you're waking up, and you wake up, but you're not quite awake, and you're just in that in-between place, and you're not thinking, no thinking, just drifting in consciousness, just being conscious and drifting in that. And it also happens sometimes accidentally, like when people have a migraine, sometimes they go out of their bodies, or in an epileptic seizure, they go out of their bodies. And despite a growing body of research on the topic, neuroscientists, cognitive researchers, and psychologists do not know for sure what causes out-of-body experiences. They only know they exist. Wally Lamb said, "I remember the odd sensation of living in the middle of that experience and feeling simultaneously like it was something happening at a telescope distance, like something I was looking through the wrong end of a pair of binoculars." He was outside of his body and he was looking back at this. So in just a little bit, I'm going to tell you how I think you can get an out-of-body experience if that's what you want. But you have to know first that it's not dangerous. It's not even the least bit dangerous. Some people say, well, I got outside of my body and I was scared I couldn't get back in. No, you're not. It's not like a near-death experience, an out-of-body experience. Our consciousness leaves our body, but the part of us that keeps the motor running stays at home and keeps the lights on. It's not the least bit dangerous, but instead probably is one of the healthiest and most grounding experiences of life. So if I want to have an out-of-body experience, how can I do that? Recently I dislocated my left shoulder, and I couldn't get it back in, and it was just painful. My arm was sticking out like a wing, and so Mary took me to the emergency room, and the doctors tried to get it back in, but they couldn't. So they said, well, we need to inject this guy with something. So they injected me with ketamine, and then while I was out in ketamine, they were able to manipulate my shoulder back into place. But when they injected me, I was almost immediately out of my body. I just moved up out of my body. And I was hovering out of my body above the room. And I was absolutely conscious. I was as conscious as I am right now. But I was not in my body. But my body was fine. My body was doing fine. Mary said I looked like I was dead. I was laying there with my eyes open, just staring. But I wasn't dead. I was doing fine. But it was an interesting experience. And I later learned that this drug by its nature causes disassociation with reality. And it sure did that for me. But for some people, the ketamine experience is really terrifying because they think they are their bodies. They think they are their brains. They think that this thing that they are conscious of all day long, every day, the feel, touch, smell, hear, see, they think that's who they are. It's not who they are. It's not. It's not who you are. It's not who I am. We're spiritual beings. Spiritual. I don't mean that spiritual being is outside of you. And in order to experience it, you have to go out of your body. You are a spiritual. That's when you're experiencing what I'm saying right now. That's going into your spiritual system. You and I are connected spiritually. We are one. Like there's one consciousness that is all things in all places at all times, and all people are part of that consciousness. So we have one consciousness with 8 billion incarnations of that consciousness. And what we do when we go into these spiritual experiences is that we go back into the thread. We go back into that umbilical that is between us and consciousness. And we remember who we are. I think it's fascinating. It's really fascinating. But I'm not recommending narcotics. I don't think that's the smart way to do this. B.J. Palmer, the master maker of the human, said this: the master maker of the human body did not create you and then run off and leave you masterless. That master maker of your human body stayed on the job as innate as the fellow within, as nerve transmission controlling every function of life, as spirit from above down inside, expressing, creating, exploring, directing you in every field and phase of experience, so that your home is truly the world and the world is your home. So beautiful. The master maker of the human body did not create you and then run off and leave you masterless. That master maker stayed on the job as innate as the fellow within, as nerve transmission, controlling every function of life, as spirit from above, down, inside, out, expressing, creating, exploring, directing you in every field and phase of experience, so that your home is truly the world and the world is your home. So beautiful, so beautiful. God, I love that. So there's another way that you have been having out-of-body experiences, and you can pay attention to those and begin to notice them and explore them a little bit more. And that's in sleep. The relationship between out-of-body experiences and sleep's been investigated by quite a large number of scholars who found that out-of-body experiences are most often reported just before falling asleep, resting, or dozing. Ooh, here I go. Oh, just letting go. Accept your body, accept your life, accept all the trials and tribulations, accept all the beauty and joy, accept your home, accept the love of the people, whoever your friends and your family, and then let it go. It isn't going to go away. It's just you're going to stop gripping it. It'll stay, but you just stop gripping it. Accept and let go, and then you begin to float. And that happens just before waking up and just before going to sleep. And some people go into sleep paralysis. I don't know if you know what that is, but you go when you wake up from sleep and you can't move any part of your body. And it's not terrifying. It's just that you can't move your body because you're not in your body. You're awake, but it feels like you're still in a dream, and the feeling passes and you roll out of bed and you've had an out-of-body experience. Pilots and astronauts, they sometimes experience out-of-body experiences when the G-forces cause the blood to drain out of the brain. Whew. It's found that out-of-body experiences are most likely to happen when you're laying down in a relaxed position. So can you just lay down in a relaxed position and be quiet? And then what happens? Bruce Van Natta said, the next thing I remember, I was at least 10 or 15 feet above the scene, looking down at myself and the whole situation. The strongest part of my out-of-body experience was feeling like I was just an observer to what was happening below me. It was as if I was watching a movie. I've experienced out-of-body experiences when I was running. I was in Southern California once, and there was a long, long beach, and I was running on this beach, and I was working for a marathon, and I was trying to keep my speed up. And now I was never really fast, but I could run 6.5 minute miles if I could just really focus and pay attention. And I was really focusing and paying attention. And then about, I don't know, maybe a half an hour later, I found myself walking on a beach, and I was not at all on the same part of the beach. I was just walking, and I had no idea where I'd been. I was no idea where I'd been. It was the most beautiful experience. And I've had a lot of out of body experiences when I was free diving. Gee, you you're on the surface and you take a few big breaths of air and you hold them and you tip over and just float down, 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 down. And see, it's like it's a different atmosphere, but it's flying. It's flying. And you're flying through this space. And the fish are actually the same as birds in this atmosphere, and they're flying around you. And you're flying down through them and down over canyons and forests of kelp. And it's so beautiful. And in doing that, sometimes you just disappear. You just disappear. My favorite path to an out-of-body experience, though, is through meditation. And here's how I suggest you do that. You got to be in a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed. I find sitting up is better. If I lay down, I start going into a different place than meditation. Completely relax your body and your mind. And don't worry about, oh, I don't know how to meditate. Don't worry about that. Just focus on your breathing. Focus on it as it comes in through your nose. Focus on it as it goes out. Just focus on your breathing. And if you can just do that and let the thoughts go away, then eventually you start moving outside of your body. And if you're not a meditator, just practice your regular, steady breathing and keep your body totally relaxed. Check in with your body every once in a while and see if it's relaxed. You'll find that you're holding an expression on your face, or your shoulders are up. Let your shoulders fall. You'll find that your thighs are when I was meditating, I think it was like 6 months after I started meditating, I suddenly felt one of my thigh muscles completely relax. And I realized I never had relaxed that muscle. I had that muscle all tensed all the time, ready to fight or flight. So when you're just in this relaxed, laying down position, erase the sense of time. Tell yourself that you have all day or all night. So if you're laying there and you're thinking, I got to get up because I've got to make sure, don't do that. Don't do that. Say, I have all day. I'm going to do this all day. Now you won't do it all day, but tell yourself, I'm going to do this all day long. I'm going to do this for hours and hours and hours. Otherwise, that sense of time pulls you out of that. And one of the things that you can do is if you're near a computer or if you have headphones, there's a site on Google for theta waves, 4 to 8 hertz. If there's one called Play Pure Theta Waves, Play Pure Theta Waves, and it just has this rhythmic drumming kind of thing that helps your brain go into the theta waves. And then if you're laying on your back, you can visualize a rope hanging down from space over the center of your body or over your chest, and just visualize yourself climbing that rope out of your body. And maintain a calm and open mindset and allow the experience, whatever the experience is, allow it to unfold naturally. Don't push it. Don't push it. Just let it happen. In 1958, Robert Monroe, who's really been well known for out-of-body experiences, floated out of his body for the first time. It began, he said, without any apparent cause. His doctor could find no physical ailment. He prescribed tranquilizers because, and when from that first experience, Robert Monroe was a little upset, but a psychologist friend, meanwhile, told him to try leaving his body again. After all, the friend said, some of the fellows who practice yoga and those Eastern religions claim they can do it whenever they want to. So Monroe did it again and again and again, and he became proficient at going outside of his body. And you can too. And it's a marvelous experience. Once again, you might ask, well, why would I do that? You're not your body. You're not your brain. You're not your name. You are a spiritual being inhabiting this physical body. If you can go outside once in a while and come back in, you get real rebalanced. And we can't take this too seriously. Can't do that. We got to take this lightly. We got to take life lightly. I've always loved sports. I love baseball, football, hockey, soccer. I just love sports, and I loved to play sports when I was young. And I can tell you, when you watch a basketball player go up the court dribbling the ball, they're just pushing it down with their fingers. And sometimes it goes back between their legs and back forward and back between their legs because they're trying to get by a defender, and they go back and forth. And some of the great basketball players like Gary Payton and some of those great basketball players, you can see they're going in toward the basket, and they're still a long ways away, and then they can jump back, and their body is angled backwards, and they flip the ball with their fingertips like this, and the ball just sails in a great arc out through space and goes through that hoop. And you've got to ask yourself, how in the world can you do that? I promise you, you can't do it in your body. I promise you. You have to let go. You have to just let go. The beauty of an out-of-body experience is just that. It's beauty. We have to learn to hold life lightly and let it play with us and for us. And when we do everything like we're in a chain gang and we have to be serious, then we're not efficient at anything. We're not efficient at having out-of-body experiences. Here's an example of taking this whole thing lightly. When asked about out-of-body experience, Tom Wilson said this: if I ever had an out-of-body experience, I'd try to come back in a different one. Thank you, Tom. When you go through this week, try to remember that your spirit, your spiritual being, your enormous spiritual being. You see these pictures of a genie coming out of a bottle, and the bottle is tiny and the genie becomes large. That's how you are. You are so much bigger than this life you live. You're so much bigger than your body. Allow yourself to realize that and come on out and play. I really appreciate you being with me. Thank you. I hope that you have a wonderful week. I want you to stop by bobtrask.com and see what's going on, see what classes are going on, see what's happening, and also leave a donation, if you will, so that we can continue to expand our good work. And I so appreciate you being with me. Go with my love, and I'll see you next week.